the footballing media always coming up with so much nonsense? Right? Yes, friends, what's poppin'? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, genuinely, really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily. That's right, every single ruddy day, daily series here on the channel where I tell you what's going on, aggregate the news of Chelsea from around the globe using the internet. Bring it to you here, give you my opinion on it, more importantly asking for yours. Today we're going to talk about Tuchel's frustration not getting Chilwell and how that could have contributed to him leaving Bayern Munich and the breakdown. Cole Palmer is worth more than Declan Rice financially. Hey, I'm not saying it, CIES Observatory is. Valuation might not have the trust, if you believe Italian reports, of Mauricio Pochettino and could be off to AC Milan eventually. And finally, Kieran Maguire, financial expert, and Liam Twomey have written an article on The Athletic about how Chelsea could just accept a European competition ban because they're financially not necessarily so sound should they qualify for Europe next season. We're going to cite that though, not from The Athletic this time, and TalkSport, because it neatly packages it a bit better. So, lots to get into, friends. We are on the road to 200,000 subscribers. Isn't that lovely? You could be a part of this journey, become a part of the OG GOAT gang here on Football Therapy. Simply just subscribe if you want to, of course. Should you choose to do so, hit the bell. I'd thank you for liking the video, and let's get into today's content. Let's start off with Benoit Badiashile. Now, these are several reports coming out of Italy that Pochettino doesn't fully trust the Frenchman. Of course, he wasn't one of his signings, but who was one of Pochettino's signings? We don't know. Bearing in mind, this is coming from Italian media, linking him to an Italian club, of course, AC Milan. Now, Milan has done very well out of Chelsea of late. Of course, they got Fikayo Tomori, Olivier Giroud, Christian Pulisic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, of which all of them have performed very well. Now, Benoit Badiashile is a great player. He can play left back in a pinch, but not as good as Disasi can play right back. He's a very good left-sided, left-footed defender, strong, and generally he's been good for Chelsea. He's had poor moments, but who hasn't in this recent iteration of Chelsea? Now, I don't know whether to believe these reports, but of course, in terms of the long-term first-choice options for Chelsea, you'd understand Pochettino would want Levi Colwill as that left-sided left-footer and maybe Disasi or Wesley Fofana long-term on the right. Of course, we've got other young defenders and, Alfie Gilchrist hanging about. So maybe there is an element of Pochettino thinking, yeah, in terms of how much we're paying this guy wages, he's not, one for me, we can get a better second choice that would be better for the plan, maybe. I'm playing devil's advocate here, of course. I quite like Benoit Badiashile, and I think he's a good option to keep, but if you said to me, who are you keeping over Badiashile and Colwill? Me, personally, I'm saying Levi Colwill. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, it's an Italian story linking one of our players to an Italian team, so pinch of salt. Let's move on. Let me know what you think about that story. And we move. Next up, a quick one on Tuchel and Trevoh Chalobah. Of course, Trevoh Chalobah was linked to Tuchel's Bayern Munich not only in the summer, but also in January. Both times he was injured, of course, and I would speculate that's why Bayern Munich were not so keen on buying him. Maybe they offered for a loan, but Chelsea probably wanted a way of guaranteeing some money here. Tuchel, of course, really does like Trevoh Chalobah. He gave him his sort of big break at Chelsea, and Fabrizio Romano has said via Court Offside that this is one of the contributing factors to Tuchel and Bayern Munich's breakdown. He of course wanted Joao Paulinho from Fulham, who's an excellent player, but he also really wanted Trevoh Chalobah, a player that could play centre-back and right-back. Of course, he played centre-back and right-back for Tuchel at Chelsea. He's a great player, Trevoh Chalobah. He's yet to essentially do anything of note this season. He played a few frantic minutes at the Etihad, of course, that we conceded a goal. I'm not going to blame him for that goal. I did wonder if there was someone else behind it that was a little bit more calibrated into the game. It may have gone differently. But still, we love Trev. He's a great player. We probably all accept how his long-term future isn't at Chelsea. And it's a great opportunity for Chelsea to get a bit of cash. The player himself will be let down. Of course, he was, being linked to Forest. Chelsea wanted to flog him to Forest. Understandably, he didn't want to go. Now, this is Bayern Munich. It's a great opportunity for him. If Tuchel going there at the end of the season might mean that link is now gone, but Trevoh Chalobah will have some sellability as an asset. But yeah, the player, Chelsea and Tuchel all really disappointed that that move didn't materialise. Bayern Munich clearly didn't want it. So let me know what you think about that news story, the breakdown with Tuchel, Chalobah and Chelsea and Bayern. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And let's move on and talk about the latest updated player valuation of Cole Palmer. That's right, CIES Observatory, the governing body who tells you how much players are worth. Of course, it publishes player values every few months. It's done an updated version, and now young Cole Palmer, Chelsea superstar, who we paid £40 million for, was it euros? It probably was pounds, is now being valued at 100 million euros. Now there's a few things to take into account here. Of course, he's young, he's English, it shouldn't be effective, but it is, maybe because of his homegrown value in the Premier League, how the Premier League clubs do value English players for that rule, so it adds a little bit of value to the player as an asset as well. So he's young, he's English, he's on a long contract, which of course protects his value, and boy, we know how our owners like to put players on long contracts to protect their value. But yeah, if you look at who he's above the likes of Lautaro Martinez, he's above Declan Rice, who of course cost £105 million, but is worth less than 100 million euros. Can't really laugh at that, of course, because we've overpaid for loads and loads of players. Enzo Fernandez remains about the same value we bought him, which is amazing, really, because you could say we overpaid for Enzo, but because he's on a long contract, he's a World Cup winner, he's the best young player at the World Cup. Seemingly, all that kind of stuff still has Enzo valued at over 100 million euros, which is great, really. Of course, he's scoring a few goals this season, which helps. The fact that Cole Palmer's got a bunch of goals, a bunch of assists, is always fit. He's on a long contract. His value on the pitch, his value off the pitch. Just interesting to see what a purchase for Chelsea that is, and that may literally be the signing of the season in the Premier League period. We'll see, of course, come the end of the campaign, but an incredible signing by Chelsea, and seemingly excellent business. Alright, let's hop over to the article on TalkSport now and see what's going on with this financial story. Chelsea could accept a ban from European competition to not play in the Europa Conference League. Oh god. Chelsea, of course, could win our first trophy of the Bowley Clear Lake era this weekend, which would give us qualification to the Europa Conference League. So of course the Blues take on Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final on Sunday, and a victory would earn Pochettino's side a place in the Europa Conference League qualifying rounds. This could bring new financial fair play challenges and could see drastic action taken. Chelsea, though, must comply with UEFA's club licensing and financial sustainability regulations, essentially FFP, though the club may need to accept a ban to stay in line with the above regulations and go down the route that Milan took in 2019. Kieran Maguire told The Athletic this: "It could be in Chelsea's interest to do the same as Milan." Yeah, I know what you're thinking. This is confusing. A voluntary ban? I think we're already... Chelsea's relationship with UEFA is really, really good. Of course, we self-reported financial irregularities from the previous owner, Roman Abramovich, and they went, "Oh, thanks for telling us. Let's just give you an €8 million fine." And we said, "Yep, we'll pay that. We've got 100 million euros put aside for these fines, so 8 million ain't no problem." So what is happening here? Well, Kieran Maguire goes on saying this: "We're moving into the realms of three-dimensional chess here, which some clubs are capable of playing. By the time you pay the players bonuses for qualifying for the competition, transport, accommodation, and other costs, you're only making a small amount of money from the Conference League. You might struggle to get a decent number of fans to attend Stamford Bridge if the opposition is modest. That isn't a criticism of them, it's just modern day economics. If they are exceeding the UEFA limits, the question becomes, do we actually want to go and play in the Conference League next season because we won't make any money from it?" I'm just going to pause there and say, if it's a neutral situation, you go and play it anyway. Because it's more games, it's more brand awareness. I know that's lame. I don't know if Kieran Maguire has taken into the account of the extra games is good for negotiating a new main shirt sponsor, which I believe Chelsea will be doing at the end of the season. Of course, I think Infinite Athlete is just a 1-year deal. So when you're negotiating with new brand partners, they want their brand on your shirt for more games. I'm assuming the financial expert has taken this into account, but I just want to say it out loud here to you guys. While I think of it, Milan voluntarily accepted a 1-year ban from all European competitions 5 years ago for breaching UEFA's FFP rules. Yeah, I remember that. Todd Boehly has spent over £1 billion on transfer fees over the first 2 years of his ownership at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea are only required to comply with the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules as things stand. Such a rule allows them to lose up to £105 million over a 3-year period, which ended June the 30th of last year. Clubs in European competitions can be permitted to lose up to £68.5 million for the 24-25 monitoring period. So, £68.5 million over the previous 2 years, not £105 million over the previous 3 years, if they win the Carabao Cup and qualify for Europa League Conference next season. So the goalposts move if we're in Europe and we win on the weekend. It is likely Chelsea will need to conduct player sales before the end of June the 30th to be able to comply with UEFA's FFP rules and ensure they are not sanctioned. This is an interesting story. Look, this is coming from The Athletic, Kieran Maguire, respected financial expert, and Liam Twomey, who I personally really like and have a lot of respect for. I don't think this is necessarily a hit piece, and I would imagine that these experts have more insight and intel than I do. There's probably some deal of speculation here too. I wonder if that story is taking into consideration how Chelsea can generate £100 million sterling of pure profit. I said sterling as in currency. I don't think we're selling Raheem Sterling before some of you get excited. So, I think we're probably okay, to be honest, if we sell certain players. Look, I would like us to play in the Conference League. I don't care what league it is. If it's the McDonald's, youth league that Chelsea somehow get into. I want to see my club play more often in certain games that we can rotate and experiment a little bit more away from the vast pressures of the Premier League, while Pochettino, and probably more as a salient point, Chelsea is still in an embryonic phase of a new team squad club. You need opportunity to develop and flourish, and the Conference League offers that, man. Look, we ain't qualified yet. We've got to beat Liverpool, and we will absolutely be underdogs and outsiders to win that game. But Chelsea will still see an opportunity for qualifying for Europe generally, and maybe winning the FA Cup. Similar hurdles there with big teams to defeat. Or maybe finishing in the top 7. It could happen in the Premier League. Why the ruddy heck not? But it's interesting to see Chelsea might voluntarily take a ban. They might say, look, UEFA, we are in trouble here because now we've qualified, we've got this problem, so we will take a ban. We will take a ban. And they are suggesting, The Athletic here, that Chelsea won't mind so much behind the scenes because they're voluntarily taking a ban from a competition that they won't really make any money from, or certainly not much at all. But I contest that by saying, are they taking into consideration the renegotiation of main sponsors, having brands on shirts for more games? And as a friggin' football fan, man, as a Chelsea fan, I get to watch Chelsea play midweek, I get to see maybe Whisper play up front against some lower league opposition and maybe score a goal and fight his way into the first team in Chelsea. And just, also watch more Chelsea. We're fans, we want to watch our club. As someone who works in content creation, it's more content for me to talk about. I love it personally, but more than anything, I just want to watch Chelsea play in Europe. I'm sure you guys feel the same too. I'll be very interested in developments here. I'll be very interested in listening to the Athletic Chelsea podcast about how they talk about this. But I wonder if it's taking into consideration the sellable assets that Chelsea have and what position that will put them in moving forward. But Chelsea remain confident they're fine, so I hope we don't do a voluntary ban away from Europe, and I think it's highly unlikely. I do remember that Milan team doing it, spending loads and loads of cash on a completely new, dysfunctional team that didn't work and took them years to rebuild and come back to who they are now. I hope it's parallels with Chelsea at the moment, but hopefully that doesn't happen to us. And look, Milan won the Scudetto and got to a semi-final of the Champions League, so it all worked out for them. It'll all work out for us, right? Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment down below. I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing. Road to 200,000 subscribers. It's incredible, really. Drop a like on your way out if you're yet to like the video. See you guys very soon back here, hopefully. Take care. Peace!